Okay. Let's make it really basic. Let's go to Shark Tank. Those people that trot out in front of me and have done for almost 20 years with an idea to solve someone's problem, they'll get paid for. And 80% fail, but 20% make it. And it creates personal.
Oh, guys, make sure to double tap that screen and like the video and subscribe to the channel while you're at it. Go ahead and hit that icon above. And also make sure to support the channel with a gift or a super chat. Let's keep it going.
Freedom for them.
I ain't gonna lie, this dude Kevin O'Leary low-key pissing me off. I'm not even gonna lie to you, because it's like, bro, you could tell it's like, dog, you really don't care. You're framing it as if you care, but the words coming out your mouth lets me know that you do not care about the consequences that this will bring. It's all about how much money you're gonna make in your family, and that's great. I get that, but at the sacrifice of the American people. Yeah, like I said, dog, when the angry mob goes towards your house, I mean, don't complain. Just say that. Just remember that we warned you.
Because it was just an idea. I mean, I think of some of these things, wicked good cupcakes, set two women free for the rest of their lives, base paws, cat DNA testing, Anaskaya, a researcher that came up with this idea, walked away with 105 million.
Guys, this was actually like predicted that if AI ever came around and it got too advanced to the part where it was to the point where it was just taking, jobs, there would only be a select few people who would actually make money off AI, and it would literally be them held at the top, and it would turn into a complete oligarchy. And the people would pretty much rise up against that oligarchy and, like I said, start putting heads on sticks. And this would possibly lead them to push out a hardcore socialism to pretty much, quell the mass. And it might push us into a different age of prosperity or into further destruction. Who knows? Who knows? But we'll see when we get there, right?
Cash 36 months later. That's the American dream, and I'm an ambassador for it.
So it's freedom and opportunity, I think you just said. Is it fair to summarize?
It's not about the greed of money.
Freedom
what I've
and
learned.
Opportunity. AI, which is going to take some freedom. Yeah, and when it comes to the surveillance that they're using it for right now, that's going to start taking freedom. And when it starts snatching jobs, that's going to start taking opportunity. It's crazy how he does not see that.
Opportunity.
It's opportunity. And I see it over and over again, and I'm an ambassador for it all around the world because of the fact that somehow magically this show, and you understand television better than anybody, this thing is on in 54 countries around the world. I can go anywhere and call up the leadership of any place and have a meeting with them because I'm just an ambassador of the American dream. That's pretty interesting.
Guys, here's the thing though. Like, look, I'm not no supporter of socialism, trust me. But you could only piss off people so much with the crony capitalism that's going on. And I'm not a supporter of no crony capitalism. I would actually like, fair capitalism. And trust me, like, we all know what I'm talking about. And guys like this don't really believe in that. And this is what's going to turn people, this was going to turn people away from capitalism, making them take more of like a socialist approach, or maybe an in-between approach. You might start hearing the term, capitalist socialist or social capitalists. You might start hearing that term, guys. Why? Because people aren't going to be all the way done with capitalism, but they're sure as hell going to be done with this shit.
Well, it's a great thing, the American dream. If freedom and opportunity is what the American dream is, then those are things worth dying for.
Yes,
I think
that's what people are doing.
So the question is AI going to bring us freedom and opportunity? Because AI is the big bet that the entire American economy is making right now. And I want it to be a good bet more than anything. But I wonder if it's going to bring us freedom and opportunity. So let's just start with opportunity. The concern that people have is that their jobs, and not just their jobs, but their purpose for being alive, will be replaced by machines.
Yep.
To which you say that's not true. Great things will happen. To which I said, okay, what are those great things? To which you talked about Shark Tank. So I just want to be a little more specific about what the upside of AI is, because then everyone will calm down and feel happy about your data center. What is the upside?
Well, let's start in medicine.
Nah, he did say, but Shark Tank. And I think all of y'all was low-key pissed off at that. I think even Hammer was like, bro, did not answer the question whatsoever. He just started talking about his career on Shark Tank. Because there is no defense for this. There is no defense. There's only gaslighting. Like, what, you don't want us to beat China? All right, then let AI, let AI take your job, or we can't beat China. Like, wait, bro, what? Like, I'm sorry, dude, this needs further debate. Like, I hear you, but I don't like it. I'm sorry. I reject your position. This needs to be debated a little bit more than just, oh, but China.
Let's use specific cases everybody can understand. I was in Miami 2 weeks ago and went for a full body scan, the price of which has dropped 80% in the last 3 years. So in an hour and a half, this machine went right through my body. 2 years ago, it would have taken 3 weeks to get the results, looking for cysts on your liver or whatever it is. With AI, with the agent they had there right at the scan facility, 18 minutes later, it delivered me a report, told me I had an infection in my sinus, that I had a cyst on my kidney that hasn't grown since the last body scan 4 years ago. That was stunning and remarkable.
Yeah, it's great.
It is great. So that's one use case of something very, very important. And that's just medicine. And so if you think about all the things that this can do, including the arts and in music and film and everything, I think the use cases are going to be created by humans who find ways to use the tool. I view it, and maybe you don't agree, as simply a tool. Another example, because it's great to tell people just examples. I've been a photographer my whole life, including a period when I was a professional commercial photographer and a cinematographer of the networks. I've amassed 590,000 images during my career, half of which are on film, not shot with a phone, where you get all the data on it and it knows where it was shot, when it was shot, and everything else, which is easy to index and look for. So call it 250,000 negatives. How could I possibly catalog that as a human? I couldn't. I don't have enough time left before I'm dead. So I used AI last week with a tool to actually, after scanning all the images, to go look at them for 2 weeks. And now I'm able to just go to this computer and say, find a picture of my wife the day I met her in the gym. Boom. There it is. Now,
it's amazing. No, you're kind of making my point, though, because the two examples you gave are examples of a machine replacing human labor and doing a better job than any person could do.
Oh, Tucker, that's horrible.
Which is great.
Well, that's my point.
Well, I know it's your point. And I can see the marvel of it.
Yeah, I know.
But it raises the question, which won't go away, which is, okay, now that machines do what people do better than people did, what do people do?
Okay.
And what is the answer to that?
Let me ask you, let me pose a question against that. Would you prefer, I'm giving you one of two options with the uncertainty of both, okay? But I want you to pick one. This will tell me a lot about how you think. Would you prefer in the next 5 years that China have more compute power than we do, even though the use and the outcome and jobs and everything else we're talking about is unknown? Or would you prefer the United States of America and their allies in North America had more compute power to develop AI?
It depends. Whichever makes the United States happier, freer, and more prosperous, I guess, is the answer.
Well, you know what the answer to that is? What do you think it is?
I'm not sure that we know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like I said, I'm here with Tucker on that one. I'm not sure we know the answer to that. Even you're saying that, well, I'm not sure if they'll create jobs or take jobs. You're not willing to, concede that argument, and that's fine. But most of us are seeing it for what it is, and it's going to take jobs. Actually, it's already taking jobs. That's what a lot of these companies were making cuts over last year. It wasn't because the economy was doing bad. It wasn't because they had to take in tariffs. It was because, we made advances with AI, and we don't need these people no more. So it's already happening. And here's the problem. You can't really show us where AI is adding jobs, but we can show you where it's taking it.
Oh, I know that reducing this question to a competition between the United States and China is a very quick way to derail people from the core questions, which revolve around whether or not it's a good idea. So that's always kind of a red flag for me. China has more economic power now than the United States, probably has more military power. I didn't want either of those things to happen. I'm a little bitter at the American business community, which allowed them to happen, but they happened. So here we are. There's not much I can do about it. My focus remains, however, on is it good for the United States? Is it good for us? Does it make people happy? And I don't understand what people are going to do.
I mean, the problem is like, does it make people more productive? Of course, AI can make you more productive. I'm not gonna sit there and deny that fact. But I mean, the problem is though, does it make people happy? Well, you know, there's been kids and like adults who've committed suicide through the assistance of AI, or these chat, or like literally saying, "Hey, I want to kill myself," and AI is like, "Okay, I hope you self-delete," and or these chat boxes that convinces you to self-delete yourself. So yeah, I'm not sure about the whole happiness thing. I'm not really sure how much happiness AI is really bringing. Like honestly, you could damn near say the same thing about the internet. Like, how much happiness has the internet truly brought? I mean, it's a really we could have that debate. I mean, we could really say it destroyed a lot of lives. We could say it enhanced a lot of lives
For a living if machines are going to be able to do most things that people currently do better.
Sure, you can make the same argument with OnlyFans.
Than people do them. Like, what is the answer? And a lot of people are honest enough to say nothing. We're just the oligarchs are gonna send out checks to everybody, the bread and circuses.
Nope.
And everyone's just gonna kind of stay home and be obedient. But I don't.
It's crazy. How much money would it literally take for these tech oligarchs to pay us for us to just sit there and be like, all right, I guess we'll just let AI run everything? Like, dog, you'd have to literally make sure everybody's living like, I'm gonna be real with you, like at least maybe a $500,000 lifestyle. Hopefully that's still worth something in this in these times. But or at least 700,000. Everybody would have to get paid about 700,000 a year for you to shut the fuck up and let AI take over. And that's probably, I think a lot of people would still actually go out there and work regardless of the universal income. But how much you'd have to pay us for us not to ride in the streets? Probably somewhere around there. And that's a hefty ass bill.
I don't know that.
I think you're raising a great point. It's a wonderful debate, and it's certainly going on. But it's analogous to the narrative that must have been happening back when the Model T Ford rolled off the assembly line, and everybody that had a buggy looked at it and said, "Oh no, this is going to wipe me out, and there'll be no work for me." That the American economy is very resilient as it develops new sectors.
What happened after the Model T was rolled out? We had two big events in the, say, 40 years after
we
that.
Actually had
one was the First World War and one was the Second World War. The Industrial Revolution, like all technological change, caused dramatic political and social change, which resulted in the biggest bloodletting in human history. So I'm like, it's worth thinking this stuff through. Yeah. Like, technological change forces social and political change.
Yeah. Unfortunately, capitalism and the freedom it provides is volatile. And it has lots of periods, including the Great Depression, where it taxes the people that support it. But it's still better than the alternative anywhere on earth, it seems, 200 years later. And so, when you start and looking at the American economy and the vol it's had, it's been unbelievable. But the system, with all its faults, and you're raising some good points, I agree with you. I'm just trying to think what's the alternative. And regarding AI and the ultimate issue around your job issue, and I think it's fair. I'm looking at it differently. I'm looking at it as insurance. I would prefer, even though the future is uncertain and the outcome, and the end is always near, to quote Jim Morrison. I love that line in his song,
Roadhouse Blues.
The future's uncertain and the end is always near. Words I live by. But it's sort of, if you had to give me the two alternatives, let China do this first or us, I'll take us. And I'm part of that now. And in the controversy of it, we started our conversation. I've never seen a controversy like this. I've never seen attacks like this. I know you have, but I haven't experienced it. And I'm hiring.
Well, I mean, if you take money from taxpayers, you should expect them to weigh in too and take their complaints seriously and not just dismiss them as agents.
And you're right, but this has been going on. Incentives.
I'm glad he said it. It's like, yeah, you should actually listen to the taxpayers who are helping out with your data centers instead of just saying they're agents of China. Like, they have real concerns. Yes, their tax bill went up. There's a water problem. So you can't sit there and just say, oh, you're just an agent of China who don't want us to beat China. No, these are real concerns that American people have. And please just don't sweep them under the bus for, oh, but China.
State by state in every sector happen, even real
Not
estate.
incentives. It's a forced transfer of wealth from taxpayers to people who are richer than taxpayers. So like,
no, they're not.
Of course they have
you get a tax break to create 2,000 jobs, and the taxpayer wouldn't do it if it wasn't the long-term outcome.
The taxpayer has no choice. The taxpayer has no
choice. They can say no. That's not what happened.
They tried to say no to this.
Not really. It's like, it's these commissioners that, the taxpayers vote in, but when this stuff comes around, the taxpayers come to their commissioner, tell them they don't want them to vote on it, and they vote on it anyway. Why? Because they're getting bought out. So no, actually, just because you bought out some commissioners doesn't mean that the people agreed with this
data center, and they got laughed at. And then the governor, Spencer Cox of Utah, who really is a kind of living symbol of our ruling class, said that the state has an obligation to do this, and basically, as you were doing, waved away concerns as like foreign propaganda, when I think they're probably non-crazy people who live in Utah are like, why is this good for me? Why should I pay for this?
It's fair. It's fair. All this is fair. How about we forget the data center and just talk about the power for a second? Because there aren't going to be any data centers in America unless we build power generation. Do you have the same visceral reaction to power generation as you do to data centers?
Inversely, I think we need more electricity in the United States, and I think
that's what I'm talking about.
I mean, here's the thing, though. It's like, no, I'm like, here's a problem. That's what you guys should have focused on first. Is power generation, is finding a way to generate more power. So these data centers and they're taking up of power and water wouldn't be a problem. Maybe if you had sat around and worked on ways of advancing instead of rushing this, we wouldn't be here. But since y'all didn't, and y'all put the cart before the horse, you're getting all the complaints because you didn't think it all the way through.
Of agents of China. In fact,
bro, I want to talk about what about power generation? Oh, the thing you should have did first. Oh yeah, please, let's talk about it.
If you're looking for agents of China, it's the people who told you that you could live without fossil fuels, that babies wouldn't die without fossil fuels. Babies will die without fossil fuel. Civilization will collapse without fossil fuel, and that right there is the foreign op telling us that people are causing global climate change. People are not causing global climate change substantially. We're having global climate change as we always have, but to blame it on natural gas is just a flat out lie, and a lot of rich Americans fell for that. So no, I'm strongly for energy. I'm just very concerned about replacing people, their purpose for living, which is to create, with machines. That seems like hell to me, literally hell. So I think it's fair to ask, like, how is this not?
Guys, make sure to smash that like button. And if you're watching the vertical, make sure to double tap that screen and like the video. Appreciate the support. If you have any questions, comments, jokes, or disagreements, feel free to super chat it in or send it in on a Venmo. Appreciate the support.
Not hell. And no one has been able to answer it.
Yeah. I think trying to stop advancement of technology with the uncertainty it brings has always been a dilemma in capitalism and in America. And it's a fair comment.
But how is this capitalism? If taxpayers are paying for some of it, how is that capitalism? That seems...
I think that's no different than building an apartment building downtown in Austin. You can get incentives for that too, and that's just part of how it works.
I mean, incentives, yeah, but the operation costs, is not being paid by the taxpayers. Like that's the difference here.
How is that capitalism? How is that free market? If politicians are handing you other people's money to do it, how is that capitalism?
Well, capitalism is built into the Constitution, which I think was genius because it couldn't have even thought that far ahead, was the idea of competition between states. Why is there an exodus out of New York City to Miami, where I live? Why are people leaving New Jersey and Massachusetts and moving into my building? Nobody in my building is from Florida. They're all from other states.
I understand.
Hey, the chat is not effing with AI. Like, for real? No, 85%. Yes, 15. Well, damn. All right, then. The chat has spoken.
Well, these people moving, why? Because they're reaching retirement age, and the environment in these other states is not conducive to their lifestyle when they're
But
being
I think
taxed.
you're making my point for me. You just listed states that use a higher percentage of taxpayer dollars for private industry, and people are leaving those states. Illinois,
Wait a second. New York does
California,
not.
New York.
New York is an inefficiently run.
It may be inefficient, but the principle that politicians can take the public's money and hand it to their friends in business, that's a longstanding practice in New York, California, and Illinois, and relatively uncommon in Florida. So people are moving to the free market state, but you're now saying that actually the beauty of capitalism is that politicians hand other people's money to their friends? That doesn't,
No, I'm not
the
saying
opposite
that.
of capitalism.
I'm saying that, no, you're,
I mean, it sounds like it's good for you, but not, like I said, that's that crony capitalism I'm talking about. And the thing is, these guys are so deep into it. He's so deep in it, he don't even realize that what he's saying is like, you could tell he's lost in the sauce. Like, bro, what you support isn't the capitalism that's supposed to bring the poor up to the wealthy or the poor to the middle class. The capitalism you support just maintains all wealth at the top. That's that crony capitalism bullshit that we're talking about that creates an oligarchy that we want to take down. And Kevin O'Leary don't even know that he's low-key a huge supporter of it. He low-key idolizes it, and he low-key wants it. Well, I would say one at a higher degree.
that is incorrect. I didn't say that. I said what makes capitalism work is competition. And it does work, and it has worked for hundreds of years. And so the concept, you may not like the policy of giving incentives for manufacturers and real estate. You may not like it, and I understand you don't, but you don't have to do it. A state can stop doing it, and then for a while, maybe they'll be less competitive in terms of getting new projects. I didn't make those rules up. I'm a football player on the field of capitalism. I have to play by the rules.
I get it. No, I get it. And I'm not attacking you for it. I'm just wondering, again, occasionally it's worth pausing and asking, are we doing the right thing, even if we've been doing it the same way for a long time? I'll ask just one final question. I'll stop torturing you. But do you see how other people find it unfair that one of the richest people in America, you, in league with the biggest companies in America, Amazon, Microsoft, et cetera, the ones you listed, that the richest people in our society would be taking money from people much poorer than them? That seems very unfair.
You know, Tucker, I'll speak for myself on this. I'm not motivated by money anymore. That is not why I get up and work 18 hours a day. I want to build something incredible. I want my legacy from my children's.
I'm sorry, but like, let's be real. But then again, you know what? I halfway believe him. A lot of people do it on the stance of legacy, but let's be real though. You're in it for the money, and you know this is profitable, and you know AI is highly profitable, or you wouldn't be in it. You'd have just stuck to your multiple other businesses.
Be something that they're honored by.
Right.
I want to compete against the Chinese. I don't like the Chinese government, in case anybody has noticed that over the last 5 years. I don't like how they treat their people. I don't like how they treat me in business. I simply don't like them. What's motivating me now with all of this barrage, this firestorm, which I understand you've experienced in the past, is I want to beat them in AI. I don't want them controlling the most advanced models, wherever that's taking us, because you bring up.
Yeah, that's the problem, though. You want to beat them so bad that you're going to become them. Like, that's the problem. Bro, this man want to beat China so bad that you're going to make it China. There's the problem. This man is going to make the United States like China, trying to beat China.
Great points about the unknown and jobs and everything else. But I want to be part of the team that makes sure our way of life in North America remains the same for my children. I don't give a shit about money anymore. I don't need any more money. I've already been very successful. I'm very lucky, but I'm not finished. I'm very motivated.
Then get into an industry that actually produces like jobs then. I mean, if you actually want to help the American people, and if you're motivated by legacy, I mean, you don't want to have a legacy of the AI tech oligarch that one day the people will rise up against. Like, you don't want that legacy, do you? Well, no, maybe they do.
To win. And if people want to compete with me, I want that. If they don't think my motivation is to beat the Chinese, they're wrong. I am going to beat them. I am going to show them these data centers. They're going to be this shining example of how you do this sustainably, because I'm the only guy that is graduated out of environmental studies and builds data centers. No one else on earth has done that.
Do you think, I love the idea. I'm for America above all. Do you think that Microsoft and Amazon and Google will do a good job preserving the American way of life? Are they substantially superior morally to the Chinese government? Do you think that? Those are your tenets?
Yes, I do. And in fact, I deal with
Tell me how. Tell me how is Google?
I'll tell you why. I was talking with the guy yesterday that does is doing the build outs all around the world for Google's data centers. They are on incredible sustainable mission. They are looking at every technology to reduce their need for traditional power sources. And we were talking about
they also are looking at all available AI options to reduce their need for actual human workers as well. Like, come on now, let's tell the truth.
The campus in Utah, they have some very advanced thinking on the use of battery, wind, and solar. And so they want to do that. Why? Because their customers want that.
But wait a second. China leads the United States in battery, wind, and solar in development of those technologies.
That's it's a great story, but not in data centers. They don't. They're powering.
But hold on. Jumping around a little bit. Yeah. I'm just trying to ask. Okay, so you say you want to preserve the American way of life. That's why you're building this. My question was, okay, well, your tenants are these big companies that are not really American companies, they're publicly traded companies that are owned by the sovereign wealth funds of tons of countries around the world. In what sense are they American?
Guys, make sure to subscribe to the channel. And when you subscribe, make sure to hit that bell by hitting that icon above. Appreciate support. And don't forget to double tap that screen, like the video. Any question, comment, jokes, or disagreements you guys have, I'll be happy to answer them. Just send in a super chat.
American companies, in what sense do they have American values? Was my
because
question.
they operate under the laws and are headquartered in the United States of America under the regulations. The only reason that Google can raise as much capital as it does from the sovereign wealth. Now you're coming into my space. I'm an indexer for sovereign wealth. The only reason 52 cents of every dollar comes to America is the transparency of our laws and the appellate system and our banking system and the regulator.
Right.
And so that's why you find the largest tech companies on earth housed in America, because the regulatory environment and the actual regulatory environment in the context of the globe is the most advanced on earth. So you may hate the SEC, you may not like, regulations, but in fact, it gives an infrastructure where most capital comes here. That's what happens, because the outcomes. Why does France have no Microsoft? Why does Germany not have one? What happens?
Bro, I mean, no, that's the argument of why we want them to bring the chip manufacturing, car manufacturing. That's the reason why we want them to bring manufacturing here, not the reason why we want to start pushing data centers all over the place. Like, come on, bro.
To the European countries, they and Britain, they don't have any of this tech because they regulated it out of their society. We don't want to change that. We want the innovation here, not the regulation necessarily. But
I strongly agree, except to the extent the regulation protects the public.
Yeah, it's a balance. That's why we trust the government. A lot of people don't like them. We say, look, at the end of the day, the great example that we could use that you both know, I don't think crypto is going to work until they pass the bill about crypto. They got to finish this infrastructure act so that finally crypto can find its place inside of the 11 sectors of our economy. I'm not investing in crypto until I get that friggin' thing through the house.
May I ask, okay, so just to your second point about the American dream, there was opportunity, I think, the ability to be judged on
very interesting comment.
On your actions, on your behavior, on your character, to be treated equally. And there was also freedom. And so I think many people have deep concerns about AI's effect on freedom. And you said yourself, the purpose of AI is in part surveillance.
Yeah.
What is the point? Right. So what is that? What does that look like? I asked, what jobs does it create? Couldn't get an answer. Now I'm going to ask you a more specific question.
Well, surveillance? You can't get an answer from me because nobody knows what jobs it's going to create yet.
But I would say that.
Well,
All
of
right.
course, but I've always seen every technology.
All right, then, y'all don't know what jobs is going to create. Thank you for stating that. But here's the problem. We know the jobs that it's taking, and it's taking those jobs right now. So while y'all sitting here talking about, oh, well, you don't know what's going to happen. It's going to create jobs. It might create jobs. It might create jobs. But you know what it's definitely doing? You know what it's doing for sure? Taking jobs, replacing human beings. So when you guys sit here and tell us, oh, well, you don't know what's going to happen, I'm like, you know what? I'll give you that argument. We don't. But guess what? We do know what's happening. That is taking jobs, and it's doing it right now. But you know what it's not doing? Creating jobs right now. So do you see the problem here? You guys are hitting us with the biggest trust me bro ever right now. And we're hitting you with the facts, and you're hitting us with the, well, trust me, bro, it's going to create jobs.
It has been loathed as it's come in, always creates new jobs. And I assume the same for this tool. It's just a tool. So, you know, the surveillance is a great point. We have laws regarding surveillance, and we have laws that restrict the government, and they're built into the Constitution. And we have free speech. All of these things remain the same. They don't change with AI.
Well, they did until last week when the president led the charge to change the law and allow warrantless spying on Americans.
Yeah. Okay. Well, wait a second.
In direct violation of the U.S. Constitution. So obviously the Constitution doesn't matter to the people in charge.
No, it does. Every administration is kept in check by the Supreme Court, including this one. And so that's why the founding fathers created this structure. And I think it works, and I trust it for one, and I'm willing to, you know, have my kids who are Americans grow up here, and I want to protect them.
Okay, so what kind of surveillance? I mean, it seems like AI will make it possible to know what every American is doing at all times. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I would say that's not AI that's going to do that. I would say now, with the amount of high-resolution video and surveillance that is built into every street corner,
with the use of AI. So quit playing with us. So we all know that you're going to do it with the use of AI. You already have a company out selling it to police stations.
That's how they solve a lot of crimes. Now, if you don't like
do they solve a lot of crimes? Has the
they do. They do.
Has the closure rate for murders in our big cities, like what percentage of murders are in New York City or Chicago or
now? Like, let me show you how on top of it they are. And I mean, shout out to my man Guest Dude, because he showed me this here. So this is what they're already on top of, and I'm rejecting the cookies. But all right, see here, safety is something we create together. But how? It's like, bro, do you see this? Like, it's literally able to track your, like, you know, well, people who commit crimes. And I know what you're saying, like, S.E.T, well, how could this be a bad thing? And you know what? It's not. But you got to understand what this could lead to. It's just the surveillance of it all around. And wow, all right, yeah, they're really trying to sell this to me. But anyway, though, like, look, see, as a member of an organized retail crime ring arrives at a Shopmore superstore on site, loss prevention officers are immediately alerted to the suspect's presence. Threat alert is going to start catching you. Boom. Like what? At street light? So this is like they say law enforcement, but yo, this is like a citywide thing. I mean, and they're integrating this as an AI system. They're going to integrate it all over the city, so it's going to be able to pick up all types of feed or all types of video feed throughout the city to start tracking crime. And I know what you're saying. And in terms of safety, this is excellence. But I mean, let's be real. On the terms of violating, you know, your privacy. Yeah, this is pretty stretching it. This is stretching it. But I'll be real with you. It's pretty cool. It's badass. But it is quite concerning. And you know your city might be using it today because it's trusted by 5,000 plus law enforcement agencies in 49 states. Well, damn, who's the real nigga state that's not allowing it? 52 reduction in robbery in 1 year. I mean, and this was what Colb County, PA, in Georgia. So it's doing its thing. It's doing its thing. Okay, but like I said, I mean, this is like a crazy type of surveillance.
Detroit are solved.
I don't track the
pretty low rate. Actually. It's lower in this country than
the point is surveillance is a great issue, but the enhancement of surveillance with AI tools is how you now walk through the Dubai airport, and you also walk through some airports here in the US. facial recognition technology has finally got to the resolution using AI's tools.
Well, I know. It's going to run through your data center. There'll be pictures of all of us in your data center.
Every data center.
But right. So but how does that make it freer?
You don't have to opt into that program, by the way. I do it for convenience. I'm not hiding anything.
Well, it's on street corners, as you said. So it's anytime you're in public, your face is being surveilled by the US government.
It is, but I'm not doing nefarious things. I'm not a criminal, and I'm not stealing any money from anybody. So
the definition of nefarious changes, as you know. I mean, hundreds of thousands of American citizens were sent to concentration camps by Franklin Roosevelt because they were Japanese.
Correct.
So in 1940, it was not a crime to be Japanese. In 1941, it was. So the definition does change, as you know.
It's true. So you could have those concerns, but I ask you again, Tucker.
I do.
And I know you do, but I ask you again, and you haven't answered my question. Do you want the insurance policy or not? Would you, with all of the nefarious concerns about AI, which outcome do you prefer as an American for your family? Would you prefer all of us that are developing these data centers put down our shovels and stop while the Chinese accelerate theirs?
You see, that's the only argument he has. He knows it's hurting the American people. He knows it's drawing on our resources and driving up prices. He knows it's not creating enough jobs, so it's not really adding to the community as much as it's taking. And all he can tell you is, well, what about the Chinese? Would you rather the Chinese do? Well, here's the problem with the Chinese. They don't give a fuck about their people. They don't give a fuck about their environment. So what? You want us to be like them? And like I said, he's like, bro, like in his quest to beat the Chinese, he's going to become just like them.
Would you like that?
Well, I see it kind of a different question. I see the question,
you're not
I want to be, let me answer your question in the following way. Do I want to become like China in order that we can, quote, beat China? Not at all. The problem with China, from my perspective, is that it's surveillance.
Thank you. It's like, I don't want to match China's energy on, like, not giving a fuck about their people or their environment. I don't want to match that energy. I'll be honest with you. And here's the thing. I mean, it is a really good argument of, how much jobs will this create? Will it create more jobs than it take? And to be honest with you, I mean, right now, the numbers is in the negative for AI. AI is so far taking more jobs, actually is able to replace more jobs than it's able to produce. Like, that's just the facts right there. Not everybody's going to go to school for, what is it, machine learning? Like, come on now.
Its citizens, and it limits their ability to say what they think and to oppose existing power. That's why China is bad, I thought. Because there are a lot of things about China that are great, but what I don't like about China is the totalitarian approach it has towards its own population.
I agree with you.
You're making it possible for our government to have the same approach, and our government already does. They're surveilling us at all times. Most Americans don't even know they're being watched. There are license plate readers, there are facial recognition cameras everywhere.
Yep.
And the question is why? So the crime rate can go down, and well, it hasn't gone down. So, of course, the real reason is to make you obedient, obviously.
No, I have a different vision of the future.
Why do we still have crime?
Everybody, but now hear me out. Here's what I think is going to happen, because I'm enjoying this conversation. Let me, as I know we come to a close soon, but here's where I think we're going to be in 20 years, okay?
Yeah.
I believe in 20 years, and this is my vision of what's going to occur, and I think I'm a great guy to actually do this because I have a foot in both economies. I think by the time the 20th year, I'm going to make it in 10 years. It may not be with this administration or the administration in Canada. The two economies are going to emerge for one reason.
Which two economies?
Canada has all the raw resources, the largest consumer on Earth has. And it's crazy that we're fighting on this stuff. It's crazy.
I agree.
It makes no sense.
Totally agree.
And so we should merge these economies. You don't have to merge the countries. You merge the economies so you get an EU type situation where you allow freedom of movement across the border, and you allow no tariffs on all the stuff we need, the rare earth Canada has, the water, the paper, all that stuff. And the only reason we're going to do that is so we can take 5% of our GDP, which will be the largest on earth by around 25%. No one will be close to us if you merge those two together, and the benefits that accrue. For one reason, to tell the Chinese, don't.
I just want to know, has anybody been convinced that data centers are a good idea, or that this whole AI, this whole push for AI is a good idea? Has anybody been convinced? Because I sure as hell haven't. I mean, what about you? Because maybe I'm just being dense. I don't know. I'm open to that idea.
Don't fuck with us. That's basically what's going to happen, because they want to fuck with us big time. And that's my belief. And I think I'm right. I think that's what's going to happen. And AI and compute and all this stuff, that's a side story. We have to keep all of our tech ahead of theirs, including data centers and everything else. But ultimately, they are our adversary on our way of life.
Then can I ask our way of life, right? So I would think, since you disagree with the Chinese way of life, which is pretty civilized in a lot of ways, but the one way in which it's barbaric is that it grants its citizens no real rights.
Yep.
And so I would think that you would be very worried about aping their system, which we are now doing. Like, they have total surveillance. It's a panopticon in China. We should create our own. Let's take 40,000 acres in Utah and make it possible for the government to know where you are at all times and what you're thinking, listening to you on your phone. Like, we have that. But I would think you'd be upset about that.
You have to choose the less of two evils in your scenario. And I'm telling you, what you should do is say, I want Kevin O'Leary to succeed. I want him to beat the Chinese in compute power. And then use the laws of the United States to make sure that you keep that compute power in check whichever way you want. But to not have it available, to put down my shovel, I don't think people want me to do that. Even the people in Box Elder, the majority of them want me to hold my shovel as